All right, if you've been struggling to hit your protein goal for your macros and it's kind of hindering the progress that you want to see, here's why protein matters, why it's even important to eat, how we can actually get more protein in our diet, and what to look for to get that protein in your diet. All right. So, Pat, we've been struggling to get our protein in. All right. We have a goal of 200 grams. Okay. If we look at what you've been eating, we've been hitting the mark with our overall calorie goal, but the common issue has been just not getting that protein goal that we want to see. Only 124 grams, and we're aiming for 200. And it's a common issue that we run into. Now, obviously, the obvious answer is just to say, hey, man, eat more protein, eat more lean meats. But it's a lot easier said than done. So, let's actually first talk about why protein is even important, okay? Obviously, we know that protein is the building block of muscle, and we know that because meatheads like myself are always talking about protein. We're always talking about how much protein we should be eating. But there's so much more than just the muscle building. While yes, that's great, there's a lot more benefits. And the number one reason that we want to prioritize protein, even during a fat loss phase, is because of this graph right here. This graph is TDEE, known as total daily energy expenditure, and some people even call this a graph of what your metabolism looks like. And your metabolism is the process of utilizing and burning energy, food, and actually changing your body, having you feel great. Okay. Now, we're not going to go into all these. We can go into it in a different video, but TEF that you see here, right? This little greenish looking box stands for thermic effect of food. When you eat food, you chew it up and it goes down to your digestive tract, into your stomach. It needs to be digested. And that digestion process requires energy. Your body has to work in order to digest that food. And guess what? Protein is the hardest macronutrients for the body to digest. Now, that might seem or sound like a negative thing, but that's actually great. That is why we want to eat more protein in our diet, because this means that your body will burn more calories to digest that protein. A lot more, I think it's 4 times as much as it would digesting carbs or fats. All right. So it's so much more than the protein. So we need to make sure to be getting enough protein. Now, I have a couple examples to show you to see where we're currently at. Now, Pat, you're currently struggling. And just looking at this, I'm looking at this graph here of what your distribution is for your macros. You are currently eating 40% of your calories from carbs, 34% of your calories from fat, and 25% of your calories from protein. And this 25% truthfully just isn't enough, right? We need to get more of a percentage of our calories from protein itself. Now, a pretty common thing to say is, well, I feel super full. I just can't get more protein in because I feel so full. But people don't realize, hey, you're eating most of your calories from carbs. All we have to do is limit the carb intake that we have a little bit, and that way you can leave more room and more calories for protein. Although you're still hitting the same 2,000 calorie goal mark, let's say this side you're eating 2,000 calories with a lot more carbs, and this side you're eating 2,000 calories with a lot more protein. The side that is still eating, right, same amount of calories, the side that is eating more protein in their diet is actually burning more calories throughout the day, which is going to help you get leaner and keep your metabolism rocking like crazy. So let's look at myself for an example, okay? So I'm an extreme. I'm a little more advanced. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm eating 50%, almost 49% of my calories are coming from protein alone. Only 25% are coming from carbs and about 26% from fats. The majority of your calories should be allotted to protein. It makes a huge difference. You'll build more muscle, you'll recover better, and you also will burn more calories and have a faster metabolism. Now we're going to use Russell as an example as well. He is a little bit different. He's having 40% of his calories from protein, but he's still eating a significant amount of protein. Now this is still a really good balance. Although his carbs are about the same, 43%, they're still in par. There's not a huge discrepancy, and that's what we want to look for. If we're seeing a massive amount of carbs and fats being eaten throughout the day, and a very little amount of the calories eaten comes from protein, then we're just not in a good spot to be. It's hindering the metabolism, it's hindering muscle growth, it's hindering the whole process. So if we really want to speed up that process, we at minimum have to get some sort of balance with the macronutrients intake that we're having. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. And to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to send out this this graphic that I got from the nutrition certification and some really easy protein sources. Okay. There's eat more of, eat some of, and eat less of. We always want to do our best to focus on the eat more column. And if you can see here, majority of it is going to be animal based. We do have plant based options as well. But guys, the simplest way to think of this is you want to focus on lean meats and lean products, eggs and egg whites, fish, chicken, turkey, duck, lean ground beefs, lean steaks. If you do pork, you can have very lean porks. Bison is very lean. And then there's other options like Greek yogurts or cottage cheese as well. And and then eat some and eat less. I'm not going to go into the details of all this, but what kind of determines the difference between eat more, eat some, and eat less? The biggest difference is we want to minimize the amount of fat or other macronutrients that come with this, right? When we say this is a protein heavy ingredient or product, the majority of the macronutrients in it should be protein. Now, as you start to go down the line, we really start to get a lot of the other macronutrients in. For example, fried meats, it's technically still the same exact chicken, but because it's fried, it has a much higher fat content than it actually does protein. Same thing with chicken fingers, fried chicken. Same thing with meats, right? This is steak and this is steak. But the difference is that a high fat steak is going to come with a lot more fats than it does actual protein itself. Okay? And then the other big thing to focus on is minimally processed, more processed as you go down the line. And the reason for that is micronutrients. Micronutrients are still very important as well. And micronutrients are not protein, carbs, and fats, right? Protein, carbs, and fats are macro. They're big. We eat those in big numbers. Micronutrients is coming from the more naturally sourced animals, or not animals, but products that you can eat. And it comes with vitamins, minerals, and that's where all those vitamins and minerals are going to get soaked up by the body and help you with mental clarity, help you with energy, and again, get that metabolism working properly, which is just going to help benefit you some more. So hopefully this helps. And you know, if your nutrition graph or distribution is looking like this, then the first thing that we need to do is going to be going through the day and see, okay, some of these meals are very carb heavy, very protein low. So for example, breakfast here is 72 grams of carbs. 50% of this meal is allotted to carbs and only 20% to protein. So we need to reduce some of the carbs in this meal at some way. So either remove a banana or remove some of the blueberries, you know, one or the other, and maybe increase to 2 scoops of protein to get that in. You know, same thing here. Lunch, this actually doesn't look too bad. We have 41% coming from carbs, 30 from fats, and 27% from protein. Now, the only thing that I would do differently here is, right, we still are getting a lot of carbs and fats in this meal. Again, 70 grams and 24 because we're doing fried chicken. Okay, it's fully cooked, fully breaded. You don't have to fry it yourself, but it was fried in the process, so it's very high in carbs and fats. So I would switch this out to a more natural, minimally processed meat. And then the last one is dinner. Honestly, this dinner looks really great to me. It's a little bit higher in fat because we had a ribeye, which is a fattier steak, but we're still getting 52 grams of protein in here. And the only thing that I would possibly do differently here is maybe get a little bit of a leaner steak. I personally like sirloin steak because it's so lean and it's still steak. It tastes amazing. Or add in some sort of snack later on and reduce the sweet potato and add something like a Greek yogurt later in the night to really top off the protein goal. So hopefully this helps and makes sense. And if it does, I'd love to get your guys' feedback, and I'll see you on the next one.